Okay, okay, my friends. I'm going to. We're getting close to the end here, so the next few days, this will be it for this book. It's a shame we couldn't finish it in person. Hopefully, we can finish the second one in person. And so it happened that, when it was all over, in the wee hours of the morning, Mr. Today visited the newly created hospital wing of the mansion. There he found Lanny dozing on the floor next to Alex, and discovered Megan asleep in a chair near Samid. The old mage roamed from beside to not beside, sorry. The old mage roamed from bedside to bedside, offering whatever healing spells he could to the people of Arteme who had served and sacrificed for him. Eventually, he took a chair, settling in near Alex, who was the most seriously injured of them all. And while he was glad for the protection spell on Alex's vest, Mr. Today couldn't stop thinking. He had made a mistake? He buried his face in his hands as the ward tossed and turned restlessly, painfully, in the dim light around him. The old mage would not sleep that night. By morning, Gunnar Haluki had arrived. He paced anxiously with his arm in a sling, waiting for his daughter to wake up. Claire, who was quite calm despite her near-death experience of the previous evening, joined them. Claire bent down and kissed her father on the top of the head. Octavia's working on Florence's leg. She ought to have them solidly reattached by the end of the day. We're walking around good as new. How is Octavia's stump? Oh, it's good. She's perfectly fine, though a tad annoyed, since it was her eraser appendage. She'll have to adjust a bit until the new one grows in. And the twin, Aaron? In custody for now, beside him, beside himself over Justine's death, but trying hard not to show it. How did Samid know he was an Alex? Well, Alex is left-handed. Aaron was ready to throw a scatterclip, probably aiming at you, father. He held it in his right hand. Mr. Today pulled on his hair. Of course, he muttered. Identical twins, sometimes a righty and a lefty. I had forgotten that. He's brilliant to have noticed. Well, Samid knows Alex well. Perhaps now he will try to be a bit more like him. Megan stirred and opened her eyes. When she saw Gunnar Haluki pacing the floor, she sat up, alarmed. What is he doing here? She cried out, waking Lanny in the process. It's okay, Megan. Gunnar is on our side, and always has been, Claire told her. We kept it a secret to protect him. Lanny sat up and looked around. Gunnar Haluki stopped in his tracks. Hey, you, Lanny said, a sleepy smile spreading across her face. You're pretty sneaky. I couldn't find you last night. Sorry about your shoulder. Gunnar pressed his lips together, perhaps to stop them from quivering, and reached out his good arm to her. Lanny stumbled over to him and buried her face in his shoulder. Samita woke, his face throbbing, his voice hoarse. What's going on? Good grief. What happened to Alex? He blinked his good eye in surprise when he saw Lanny embracing her father, and then glanced at his bedside table, where Mr. Appleblosom's small, ice-like sword gleamed in the morning light. He bit his lip, wincing at the pain. but smiling inwardly as he remembered the words from his mentor and his own ultimate save in recognizing Aaron. Perhaps it had been enough. Gingerly, he rolled onto his side to watch and listen. Mr. Today gazed over the small group with a tired half smile. All in good time, he thought. He rested his eyes on Alex, whose pale face set the mood for days to come. But deep down, Mr. Today knew that Alex would mend, and that the boy would rise up, stronger and wiser than before, preparing to take on a new role from an ailing mage. It had to happen this way, Marcus thought. For him. For Arteme. Alex stirred and opened an eye. When he caught sight of Mr. Today, he whispered, "Don't forget to go back and feed the guards." Mr. Today, overcome, nodded his assurances. "And Aaron?" Mr. Today hesitated. "We'll take care of him too." Alex closed his eyes again and slept. Over the next days, the mess of broken down vehicles was cleared from Arteme. The remaining Quilitary, none the worse off for the dip in the ice, had been immediately freed from the sea, and those who had been attacked with permanent spells had been disarmed and released one by one, with the understanding that everything had changed. Quill had been defeated, and the war was over. Samid was up and around after a day or so, and he joined Lanny and Megan at Alex's side whenever the protectors would allow them to visit. "I heard what you did," Alex told Samid. "Thank you." Samid smiled grimly. "I'm sorry about everything," he said. Alex smiled and held out a weak hand. "I still get to punch you, right?" Samid laughed and shook it. "And I still don't guarantee what will happen if you do."